We are covering lesson 1.3 today. It's called decimals to the tenths place. We're going to start with our investigate first. Bless you. We're going to get through hopefully all of our in-class practice, and you'll hopefully have a little bit of time to start your practice, but you will be finishing it for homework tonight. Okay, so let's get rolling so that we can get through it all. All right, how many dimes have a total value of $1? 10. So on this page, you're just going to draw 10 little circles. We know that 10 dimes equals $1. Okay, what fraction, though, relates the number of dimes to the portion of $1? So we have all of these dimes here. I have 7. So what would that fraction look like of $1?
7/10.
7/10. On the next one, what would I put?
5/10.
5/10. And the last one would be 4/10. Okay, so that's what my fraction looks like. If I wanted to write decimals, could I write a decimal that looks the same? Or that's representing the same? I could, because decimals and fractions are equivalent. Okay, they just look different. One has a fraction bar, one has a decimal point. All right, moving on to the next page. We have a couple of vocabulary terms that we need to become familiar with. Tenths, it's 1/10 of a whole. Okay, we can be talking about a dollar. We could be talking about just a whole number 1. It just depends, but tenth is a fraction. It can also be a decimal. The fraction or the decimal is going to be less than 1 whole. So if we're looking at a place value chart, it's going to be to the right of the decimal. The ones place is to the left of the decimal. So now we're moving to the right side of our decimal point in our place value chart. A decimal is a number with 1 or more digits to the right of that decimal point. The decimal point is what separates the ones place and the tenths place. And the first place to the right of the decimal point is called the tenths place. That's where we're going to stop, and that's where we're focusing on today. Okay, so how do I write 4/10 as a decimal? We just saw this number as a fraction on the previous page. All you do is put a 4 in the tenths place. So it would be 0.4. That's what it would look like. If I have a mixed number and I have 2 wholes, for example, in this problem here, 2.7 looks like this as a mixed number. 2 and 7/10 is how you correctly read it. Everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
One person's with me. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Everybody with me? So, okay. Let's keep going. We're going to write the fraction or the mixed number as a decimal. So I'm given a fraction in number 1, which means I need to write my answer as a decimal. So what would I write?
0.9.
Very good, 0.9. Okay, on number 3, I'm going to skip number 2. On number 3, it's got a whole number. So how would I write 1 and 2/10? Kingston.
You do 1 and then the decimal return 2.
Very good. Okay, I want you to finish up that page. We're going to check them. So take a few seconds to answer 2 through 6, and then we'll check them together. Okay, on number 2, what did we get? 0.6. Number 4, we should have 1.5. Number 5, 0.3. And number 6?
13.8.
Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy so far?
Yeah.
Okay, next page. We are now looking at models. So I'm given a fraction, and I want to use that fraction or potentially the mixed number to make a model. All right, I'm given number 7, which is 2/10. The model that I have is 10 bars put together. So it's showing me it's already broken up into tenths. How many of those tenths do I need to shade? 2 of them. Ooh, that's really big. And what would I write for my decimal? 0.2. Very good. Okay. On number 8, I have 1 and 3/10. So I need to shade all of one of my models, the whole thing. Because what is this showing me? 10 out of 10, which is 1 whole. And then just 3 of the other one. And what does that look like as a decimal? 1.3. Good. Okay, what is the decimal represented by the area model in number 9? What's that decimal? How many are shaded? 0.4, because there's 4 shaded out of 10. So that reads 4/10. Okay, try number 10. Raise your hand if you think you know that answer and would like to answer out loud. London? 1. Count carefully. 8, 1 and 8/10. Everybody say 1 and 8/10. Okay, we don't want to say 1.8. We want to read it 1 and 8/10. All right, write the number as a fraction or a mixed number and as a decimal. So this time it's giving it to us in words, 8/10. How do I write that as a fraction or mixed number and as a decimal? Jeb.
8/10 on the first one, and then the 0.8.
Very good. And they are both read the exact same way. 8/10 is how you would read it. Okay, 14 and 7/10. What will that look like as a mixed number, Kingston?
14 and 7.
What do I put it over?
Like the dash thing.
Very good. And as a decimal, what does it look like?
14 decimal 7.
Very good. But how do I read both of them? Everybody say it.
14 and 7/10.
Beautiful. Okay. Number 13 is matching. So I'm matching the fraction to the decimal. 9/10 goes to which bicycle? First, second, third, or fourth? Second. Very good. 1/2 goes to?
Third.
Ooh, tricky. 4/10 goes to? The last one, and then the very last 6/10 goes to the first bicycle. All right, what about a number line? Write the decimal point represented by each point on the number line. Okay, how many lines do I have on that number line?
10.
11.
I have 11 because it's counting 0, right? So it's actually breaking it up into tenths. So Jeb was partially correct. Everybody else is partially correct because, yes, there's 11 lines, but it's breaking it up into tenths because I have 0 labeled on there. Okay, so A is considered what number?
0.1.
0.1, because it's asking us for the decimal, not the fraction. So I want to put 0.1 for letter A. Point B is at 0.3. It's 3/10. C is right in the middle. It should be 0.5, which is 5/10. And then D is 0.9, which is 9/10. Do 1/10 and 1 whole have the same value? No. Can somebody raise their hand and explain why? Jeb, go for it.
Because 1.0 is 1 whole, and 0.1 is just a fraction of a whole.
Very good. Because 1.0 is a whole and 0.1 is 1/10 of a whole. Perfect. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's look at the last page of our practice. We good? Not yet. Those of you looking at that next page, it's got a picture of seashells, and it says, you collect shells at the beach. Yep. What portion of the shells in your collection are scallop shells? Write your answer as a decimal. So that's like a, oh, it's listed. I'm like, I don't know which one's which. One of those is a conch shell, I know. Okay, so let's look at our list. That's a little bit more helpful. Okay, so you'll look over here and you can see that you have 1, 2 scallop shells out of how many total? 10. It's already completed this example for us, but it's showing us that I can show the 2/10. I'm getting data, and I can put that data in the form of a fraction or a decimal. All right, so in class practice, here we go. What portion of the shells in your collection are clam shells? Write your answer as a decimal. So looking at that list, how many are clam? Of 1, 2, 3. I only see 3 clam. Am I miscounting?
No.
There's only 3. Okay, it's in the list. It's in the list over here. So you're counting how many say clam. So I had 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be, how do I write that as a decimal?
0.3.
0.3. I think this assignment is going to be really easy for you guys. Y'all are doing awesome. If I shade a model, 3 different colors to represent the types of shells in my collection, we need to be sure that we also label the shaded part of each model with its decimal portion of the whole. So I'm going to use 3 different colors. Okay, you can do patterns. If you don't want to get your color pencils out right now, you can do different patterns with your pencil. You could do like diagonal stripes. You could do polka dots, and you could color in a whole section. Okay, so you can choose whatever you want to choose. If you want to use colors, that's great too. Okay, so let's look. We know we have 3 clam shells, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shade in 3 pieces. Red. And then how many were, there were 2 scallop shells. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conch shells. And then I'm going to label each one of those pieces. So we already know, and it's with a decimal, we already know that we have 3/10 for the clam. We know that 2/10 are the scallop. What is the conch shell going to be considered? It takes up how much? 5/10. So 0.5, which is half of all of my shells. Has anybody ever seen a real life conch? They're weird, huh?
They're gross.
Their little eyes come out and they have like little eyeballs on the tips of their stems. They're so weird looking. All right. Last one, number 18. You go to an aquatic museum. One of the aquariums has 10 shells in it. 4 of them are conch shells. What portion of the shells in the aquarium are not conch shells? So if 4 are, how many out of the 10 are not? 6. So the fraction would be 6/10. The decimal would be 6/10. I read them the same way, they just look a little different. Okay, I'm going to let you start. We don't leave here until 55. So we've got 15 minutes to start your assignment on page 19. So you have 15 minutes to start. Whatever you don't finish in class is homework tonight for lesson 1.3.